Imagine the entire planet grinding to a halt in just 5 seconds. The Earth, which has been spinning for billions of years, suddenly stops. A moment so brief yet so catastrophic, it sends shockwaves through every aspect of life. 5 seconds, a blink for us, but an eternity in the cosmic scheme. What unfolds in that sliver of time is nothing short of chaos. For perspective, think of riding in a speeding car. The Earth at the equator spins at around 1,000 miles per hour. That's faster than most commercial aircraft travel. Now, picture hitting the brakes from top speed, only this time, the car is the entire planet. The surface stops cold, but everything else wants to keep going. The air, the oceans, and every living creature carry forward with the same dizzying velocity as before. For 5 seconds, the Earth is a stage for a global whiplash. In that first second, humans feel an impossible force dragging them eastward. Buildings shudder under the stress as the ground beneath them ceases its rotation, yet the structures themselves possess momentum. It's like pulling the rug out from beneath the entire human race. The friction between the ground and our feet would desperately try to keep us in place, but the inertia would be huge. We might be launched forward, toppling over, or flung across streets and fields. Those near the equator would experience the most violent effect, while people closer to the poles might escape with less chaos, but they'd still feel it. By the second, the atmosphere follows suit. Air that had been swirling with the planet is now like a raging current, continuing its eastward motion at tremendous speeds. Gale force winds pale in comparison to the ferocity we'd face here. This wouldn't be a gentle breeze. This would be a global hurricane of unmatched proportions. Windows shatter, rooftops blow off, trees are uprooted. In coastal areas, monstrous walls of water begin to form as the oceans surge. The question isn't whether we'd survive this wind, it's whether anything would remain intact. A storm of debris engulfs entire cities. Cars, boulders, even chunks of buildings transform into deadly projectiles. In just those initial moments, civilization as we know it teeters on the brink. The sheer scale of the destruction defies comprehension. And then, we haven't even considered what happens next with the oceans. By the third second, the water in our seas and oceans keeps moving at the original rotational speed. The Earth might have stopped, but the water isn't done. This triggers tsunamis on a scale humanity has never witnessed. Wave after wave slams into the coasts, but tsunami doesn't even do it justice. It's a global tidal surge, an unimaginable sweep of water traveling at over 1,000 miles per hour near the equator. Cities near coastlines face instant devastation as waves crash inland, swallowing infrastructure and countryside alike. These unstoppable water masses carve paths miles wide, carrying ships, sea life, and debris deep into formerly dry land. In the fourth second, the Earth's crust itself tries to cope with the abrupt standstill. Tectonic plates might lurch and shift. Earthquakes rumble across continents. Volcanic eruptions might be triggered due to sudden pressure changes within the mantle. The planet's stable, methodical rotational dance was a comforting constant, and now that is ripped away. Imagine living on a stage that abruptly collapses under you. Except this stage is thousands of miles wide and made of rock. We also need to account for the Coriolis effect, that silent hand guiding global weather patterns. Normally, Earth's spin influences wind currents, ocean currents, and climatic zones. Stop the spin, even briefly, and you create turbulence that can't be contained in a few seconds. Storm systems no longer follow familiar paths. Weather patterns spiral into anarchy. The gentle balance is broken, replaced by chaos. By the fifth second, the Earth starts spinning again as if nothing happened. But the damage is done. The rotation kicks back in. Everything that was violently hurled eastward collides with a surface that's suddenly resuming motion. Debris in the air collides with structures shifting beneath it. Water swirls unpredictably as the oceans slam back into equilibrium. Global storm fronts rage on, unstoppable remnants of that freak moment. Our planet's normal rotation is restored, but the scars remain. Gigantic, unforgettable scars that reshape life on Earth forever. When the dust settles, entire regions are unrecognizable. Cities on coastlines are flooded. Rivers have changed course. Forests lie flattened, trees strewn like matchsticks. survivors find themselves grappling with a transformed environment. Vital infrastructure, roads, power lines, hospitals, is heavily damaged or gone entirely. Society must rebuild from the ground up. Humanity faces a new world where the spin was paused for just 5 seconds, but that was enough to rewrite the map. This harrowing event sparks countless questions. Could anyone have prepared for such an apocalypse? For centuries, civilizations have endured earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and hurricanes. We developed strategies, stronger buildings, evacuation routes, emergency services. But this scenario demands an entirely different kind of readiness. The abrupt stop is a single moment that defies any prior experience. Our best technology would still falter in the face of unstoppable, planet-wide momentum. This moment would be so fleeting, so unexpected, that any warning system might not even register it before it's already happened. There's also the question of Earth's axis and how the pause interacts with gravity. Normally, Earth's rotation creates a slight bulge at the equator, meaning people in those regions are slightly farther from the planet's center. Halting that rotation for 5 seconds removes the outward centrifugal force that contributes to this bulge. Suddenly, there's a shift in how gravity acts upon us. For those 5 seconds, you'd feel a minuscule increase in your weight because you no longer have that rotational outward push. It's short-lived, but the planet would reconfigure itself with horrifying speed, causing land masses to slightly adjust. After the spin resumes, the bulge returns, but not before massive fractures and fault lines are tested to their breaking points. We can draw an analogy to spinning a bowl of water on a table. When the bowl is spinning, the water forms a slight whirlpool. Stop the bowl abruptly, and the water splashes violently against the bowl's edges. Now, imagine that on a global scale, except the bowl is 8,000 miles wide, and the water is billions of gallons in the oceans. The spectacle defies imagination. The destruction is a given, but the magnitude is beyond any disaster movie ever filmed. As the waters slowly recede, the 5th second passes, and Earth's rotation picks up as if resuming an unfinished dance. But that 5-second window would have carved an unthinkable path of destruction. Cities worldwide drown or are battered to rubble. The global economy is shattered in an instant. Communication networks are down. Satellites, once reliant on Earth's stable orientation, might be thrown off or encounter anomalies as orbits wobble in response to a planet with a momentarily altered rotation rate. The sheer cost of damage is beyond measurement. Loss of life is unimaginable. In the aftermath, survivors emerge to a horizon that looks both familiar and eerily changed. Chunked skyscrapers leaning at impossible angles, highways split, farmland turned into swamps or deserts overnight. The atmosphere is still roiling with bizarre weather patterns caused by that gargantuan jolt in Earth's motion. It's not just the physical environment that's shaken. Human psychology, our sense of security, our bond with the planet, all are fundamentally changed. We once took for granted the steady spin of our world. Now, we've been reminded of how fragile that stability truly is. The largest cities might become ghost towns if they lie near coastlines or major fault lines. Populations might migrate inland to escape repeated flooding or to find stable ground. Governments scramble to coordinate relief efforts. Emergency supplies become critical. A sense of global unity might emerge, with nations banding together to deal with the universal crisis. But it could just as easily spawn chaos as resources dwindle, currency systems fail, and everyone is left to fend for themselves. The next few months, perhaps years, become the story of humankind's greatest test of resilience. From a scientific standpoint, researchers flock to measure the planet's new topography. Teams race to gather data about changed ocean currents, lost ecosystems, or newly formed lakes and rivers. Scientists examine the altered coastline, while geologists investigate fresh fault lines. Meteorologists track unprecedented storm patterns. Ecologists struggle to grasp the mass displacement of species, both marine and terrestrial. The ecosystem has been subjected to a violence it never evolved to withstand. Entire species might be threatened. Some might even vanish overnight. And there's the lingering question: what caused this? Is this a glitch in Earth's rotation triggered by cosmic forces, an unprecedented gravitational event, or something else entirely? While the planet resumes its spin, That sudden stop is a harsh reminder of the precarious cosmic dance we rely on for life. Without rotation, we lose our 24-hour day-night cycle. Temperatures become extreme, prolonged, scorching daylight on one side, freezing darkness on the other. Even a temporary interruption rattles our climate, short-circuiting the processes we depend on for agriculture, technology, and daily existence. In the weeks that follow, attempts at rebuilding civilization require extraordinary cooperation. The entire planet was a victim. The boundary lines that once separated nations are blurred by water or changed landscapes. Infrastructure is scattered. People might need to adapt to a new coastline or entirely new weather norms. The balance between day and night might remain unchanged on paper, since after all, the Earth's spin resumed. But the residual atmospheric disturbances could create an era of unpredictable weather for years to come. Surviving farmland might shift to new areas. The logistical tasks of feeding billions of people and restoring functional communities are staggering. Stories of heroism emerge, rescuers braving monstrous floods, entire neighborhoods forming makeshift shelters in sturdy public buildings that remain. Hospitals adapt to triage-like conditions. Some might harness the leftover unstoppable currents in rivers to generate power for battered regions. The unstoppable momentum that once spelled disaster now offers a small lifeline if harnessed correctly. Every resource must be utilized smartly and with care, because the margin for error is razor thin. But humanity also contemplates the cosmic scale of it all. The Earth paused, yet the rest of the universe continued. The sun rose and set as if mocking our planetary crisis. Astronomers note that, from space, the abrupt stop likely looked just as terrifying as it felt on the ground. Cloud formations twisting, massive waves forming, the entire planet seemingly jolted in a time-lapse of horror. The Earth is so large, so robust, yet this scenario reveals how delicate our existence truly is. By the time the dust truly settles, months, maybe years down the line, communities begin to rebuild, scarred by the memory of those 5 seconds. Historians will describe this catastrophe as the moment the entire world was tested in unison. Literature, art, and popular culture transform to reflect that unity of shared trauma. The generation that witnesses this event and its immediate aftermath grows up with a profound respect for the forces that shape our planet. Environmental awareness takes center stage. Technologies arise to better predict anomalies and to strengthen infrastructure against unimaginable extremes. Yet one abiding truth remains. The only reason life flourishes on Earth is due to a wondrously balanced system of rotation, orbit, atmospheric composition, and temperature. Disturb that balance, even momentarily, and the illusions of permanence and safety crumble. Perhaps there is a sense of humility that settles into humanity's collective consciousness, a knowledge that we are at the mercy of cosmic processes that are far bigger than us. And so, the final takeaway from this terrifying hypothetical is that our planet's spin, something we rarely think about, is vital to everything we know. It's the invisible foundation of our day-to-day rhythm, the silent stage on which our entire existence plays out. Those 5 seconds of unimaginable upheaval become a cosmic alarm bell, reminding us that stability is not guaranteed. Every sunrise and sunset is a gift of the spinning Earth, and we rely on that spin more than we could ever have comprehended. What if Earth stopped spinning for 5 seconds? The real question might be whether we'd recognize our planet, or ourselves, once it started spinning again. Our daily lives hinge on a comforting routine we never asked for but desperately need. The next time you stand on solid ground, pausing to feel the rotation beneath your feet, remember those 5 seconds. In them lies the immense power that keeps the Earth's cradle of life intact. Let that be a powerful wake-up call to treat our planet, its cycles, and its delicate balance with the respect and awe they truly deserve.